Hi, welcome back to another video. So as you would have seen from the title and the thumbnail, this is going to be my reaction to the 2022 Goodreads Awards winners as well as the reading vlog for the winners again. So I already did this once last year because I assumed this video is going to go up in 2023. Yeah, you can watch it up above. I really enjoyed doing that even though it took me like a year to do it. So we're going to try again this year and see whether we can finish it in less than a year this time. I also think that this video would have went up before this one already, so I actually read as many nominees as I can again in 2022. I also did so in 2021, so I'll link both up above for you. I think up for 2022 I only read about 4 to 5 books, or maybe it was 3 to 4 around there. But yeah, so actually it is the 10th of December. The results came out on 8th of December, which is my birthday, but I didn't check it in time and I was like waiting to come back and properly sit down and film it because I was in Genting for my birthday. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, so I think I'm planning to do a video on that also, a Genting trip video. I'll just link whatever that appears. That's why I wasn't in time to look at the winners, but I think I avoided anything spoilery except when I came back and turned on my laptop, I kind of saw the winner for the young adult fantasy and sci-fi, which I'm super sad for because it's not the one that I voted for. But anyway, the other categories I know nothing about. So the screen recording is here, so I just stopped on my profile. Let's look at the winners together. Oh, I already see 4. Okay, let's view the results. Best fiction, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow won. Oh my god. Okay, so I think I was kind of expecting this already. Okay, so in the end I didn't manage to read Our Missing Hearts, which is still here as a library book. I don't think I'm gonna read it anymore because I don't think I'm going to be interested in it. Yeah, so I think it's gonna be a hard DNF. I'm surprised that Notes on an Execution didn't win because it was really very hyped this year, as well as Cleopatra and Frankenstein. But okay, I understand that Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is super hyped everywhere and everybody loves it. So I previously DNF'd it once at like 45% maybe, and I was convinced to reread it again, and I'm actually rereading it this month in December as a buddy read with my friend to fulfill a prompt for the Naughty or Nice readathon, which I am also doing a video on. So there's so many things that I have to compile together and segment. But yeah, anyway, I will update when I finish Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow in this reading vlog on my thoughts and everything, and maybe I won't talk about my thoughts in the Naughty or Nice readathon vlog. What I can say now on my reread is that I think I have already surpassed the point at which I DNF'd it previously. I'm listening to the audiobook and reading the ebook. I am currently 46% in. Yeah, just a bit over where I DNF'd last time. I think it might have been because on my first read, I mainly listened via the audiobook and I wasn't really paying that much attention because the audiobook wasn't really grabbing me. So this time around, because the audiobook took a little bit longer to get to me, I started off by reading the ebook and I found myself more immersed in the story, but I don't think it will be a favorite. So yeah, that's all I have to say as of now. I'll update again when I finish. Okay, so now let's move on to mystery and thriller. I didn't vote for this category because I couldn't get to it in time. Oh wait, The Maid won? I am so surprised because you have Lucy Foley, which is The Paris Apartment, which I gave 1 star to, and I gave The Maid 2 stars, so I guess at least The Maid won over The Paris Apartment. I'm so surprised. I really thought A Flicker in the Dark would win, but it only had 36,199 votes. Okay, but The Maid won with 78,403 votes. Oh my gosh. Okay, considering the books that I read here, I should have voted for The Night Shift, but I didn't. I don't know what I was doing. Okay, I think I didn't vote for The Night Shift because it wasn't memorable, but it was a good time while I was reading it. But honestly, I forgot. So anyway, I'm surprised because I didn't really enjoy it that much. But okay, anyway, we're moving on to historical fiction. Carrie Soto is back won. Oh my god, I am so sad. It would have been nice to read Lessons in Chemistry for this video. 92,554 votes. I am not going to read Carrie Soto is back because if you saw my 2021 one, Taylor Jenkins Reid won I think historical fiction again for Malibu Rising, and I couldn't get myself into that book, so I'm not gonna put myself through this again. I enjoyed Taylor Jenkins Reid's Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but not these two books, Malibu Rising and Carousel to Respect. I have no interest in it. That's for this category. Let's continue. Fantasy. Okay, let's see. What did I vote for fantasy? I can't remember. I don't think I voted. Oh, House of Sky and Breath won. Okay, I think the reason why I didn't vote was because I knew this was going to win. Oh, but Babel was second though, 62,732 votes. I am again not going to read House of Sky and Breath for this video because I haven't even started Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood, which is the first book, so not going to touch this. Legends and Lattes is quite below over here. I've heard a lot of good things about this. Daughter of the Moon Goddess was 6th place. Now let's move on to romance. Romance, I voted for Love on the Brain, but I feel like either Book Lovers or Reminders of Him is going to win. I DNF'd Reminders of Him, so I hope Book Lovers won that. Okay, I'm happy. I am happy. Book Lovers won. Yes, okay. I enjoyed it, but I personally enjoyed Love on the Brain more, but it doesn't matter because I knew it wasn't going to win, and Book Lovers is a really good book as well, so I am happy with this category, finally. Then let's move on to sci-fi. I think Upgrade by Blake Crouch is going to win. Oh, it didn't. Okay. Sea of Tranquility won. Okay, I DNF'd this previously, but it might have been at a time where I was just not in the mood for it. Okay, this is the second book I'm going to read for this video. So the first one was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. The second one was Sea of Tranquility for sci-fi. I voted for The Measure, but I don't think it was overall really hyped. So, I mean, it's in 6th place, which is not a bad place to be in. Let's continue. Horror, okay. I'm quite excited for this one. I feel like I'm gonna read whatever that wins. Wait! I forgot! Okay, so I read Hidden Pictures and I really liked it, so I voted for it. And it won! Okay, I don't have to read anything for this category already. Oh my gosh! I'm very happy. Oh my gosh. The Hacienda is a close 5,000 votes second. I couldn't get to it in time because I was more interested in Hidden Pictures and I knew that I wouldn't have time to get to both, so I decided to go with Hidden Pictures, which had a higher rating as well. So yeah, oh my gosh, this might be a relatively shorter video than last year. Humor, I have no interest in this category, but let's just see who won. Okay, non-fiction. I'm Glad My Mom Died better win. Wait, what? Oh no, sorry. This is the wrong category. I was about to be offended. Okay, non-fiction has nothing that I wanted. Memoir and autobiography, I'm Glad My Mom Died better win. Yeah, it won with 202,000 votes. Oh, I'm so happy. Yes, it's one of my favorites. Okay, history and biography, I also don't have anything, but let's just see who won. Graphic novels and comics, I want to read this. Oh, I cannot read this. Okay, I expected Heartstopper Volume 4 to win. I cannot read it because I haven't even started this because I want to wait until I have all 4 volumes in physical copy before I actually read it. I only have the first volume as of now, so yeah, I won't be reading it for this video. Poetry, I am not interested in, but let's just see anyway. Okay. Debut novel. Hopefully this one has something that I can read. Okay, everybody. Oh my god, okay. We are reading Lessons in Chemistry because it won Best Debut Novel. Okay, I'm excited. I am super excited for this. This has 64,107 votes. Second place was Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I didn't vote for this category also. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I was in a mess when I was doing the prequel to this video. I don't think I expected Daughter of the Moon Goddess to win also. So I just left it there. But okay, anyway, we are reading Lessons in Chemistry, 3 books so far. Okay, young adult fiction, let's see what won. The Final Gambit. Okay, I cannot read that because this is the last book in the Inheritance Games trilogy, so I will not be reading this category. And young adult fantasy and sci-fi was the book that I knew won. I got spoiled for. It's Gallant. I gave it 3 stars, so my choice was The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, which I really enjoyed. But oh well. Last category, middle grade and children's. I Am Quiet, a story for the introvert in all of us. I have never heard of this book. Okay, but it's an illustration, I think it's a picture book. If I can get my hands on this, I'll read it. If not, this video will just be 3 books, which, oh my gosh, it's such an improvement from last year. Okay, probably because more books won this year were sequels to series that I haven't started yet. So anyway, this is where I'll leave you, and I will continue this video when I finish Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. So yeah.
Several days later.
Hi! So I am here to update on tomorrow because I finished it last night. I had a lot of comments about it. So I have a page on my Notion where I track the books that I've read. For tomorrow, I wrote like 15 comments. Let's talk about it. But as always, let's start with trigger warnings first. Trigger warnings for off-page abortion, abusive relationship, alcohol, amputation, cancer for multiple characters, one terminal, car accident, death, depression, drugs, gun violence, homophobia, hospitalization, Harry Potter references, misogyny, murder, pregnancy, and suicide. So in the end, I decided to give it 4 stars after running it through Corpal and everything. I feel like this read second time round, because I DNF'd this previously at 45%, right? I didn't listen to the audiobook from the start. Instead, I focus on the words, and that really helps me get into the story better. I really don't like the audiobook. It just feels... So I'm buddy reading this with my friend actually for the Naughty or Nice readathon, and she said that it was comparable to her text-to-speech function, like the audiobook. And I found that quite funny. The plot also, well, it dragged a bit. Sometimes it felt a little bit draggy, a little bit too long. The last like 20 to 30%, oh my god, I finished reading it super quickly and I couldn't put it down in a sense. I was like walking home and I was literally walking and reading, walking and listening to the audiobook, and I was just a little bit like, oh wow, I didn't expect that this book will elicit such a reaction from me in a sense. I found Sadie to be very annoying though, especially in like the middle of the book. She just feels very jealous of Sam because, for example, she'll say like, okay, I'm not sure if this is spoilers, so I'm just gonna put a spoilers warning, because they have produced a few games together. So for Ichigo, Sam was the one that was going around promoting the game while Sadie stayed back home to work on the second Ichigo, and Sam asked Sadie to go but she didn't go, and in the end she blamed Sam for making her stay back and do this, because even though he asked her to go, somebody had to stay behind to produce the second game in a sense. So she blames Sam for that, and also how people then think that Ichigo is Sam's game, and it's just like she pins so much blame on Sam when Sam is not the one that causes these things to happen. It's like he attributes that both of them created the game together, but people just assume anyway. Although I did feel a bit sad because she is a girl, she is female, people tend to think that Sam is the main person and then Sadie is just like his romantic partner or has a lesser role in producing the games, when actually it's not. But it's just the way society thinks about them, and it's not on any part of Sam's, in my opinion. Next game that they produced, I think it was Both Sides. In that game, there are essentially 2 worlds, right? And one world is Maple World and the other one is a fantasy world. I'm so sorry, I can't remember the name, but Sam worked on Maple World and Sadie worked on the fantasy world. And then when the game came out, people were critiquing it because they found the Maple World side to be not as strong, or they criticized that it's not the same as Ichigo or things like that, and it's like a step back. People thought that Maple World was Sadie's work, because they didn't explicitly say like, I produced this side and then he produced this side, that kind of thing. And then again, she blamed Sam for Both Sides. Sadie was the one who was promoting it because Sam was recovering from his surgery where he amputated his leg, and then she was blaming him. She was saying how like he made her promote because he knew that this was going to be a fail, so people would blame her. And it's just like, oh my god, girl, not everything's about you. He is literally recovering from his surgery where his leg got amputated. Like, can you have some sense of consideration for your friend? He's supposedly your best friend, but she keeps blaming him for these kind of things, and it's just very, very annoying to me and my friend. It's also like how she doesn't acknowledge that Sam, maybe his talent is in promoting, that's why Ichigo performed better as well, but Sadie is not that kind of person. She has commented that Sam shines in the attention of other people in promoting the game, and maybe that's just a talent that Sam has that Sadie doesn't, and it's not like something that she should blame his friend for having. Oh my god, I don't understand. And okay, this is like super major spoilers, but Max, their friend, died, and Max was Sadie's partner at the time, and so Sadie was actually pregnant with his child, their child. He died because 2 shooters came and they were looking for Sam, but Sam wasn't there, and Max Max tried to placate the situation because somebody came down the stairs at that moment. Then the shooter thought that that person was Sam and he shot the person, and Max shielded him, so he got 3 bullets. He was in a coma and he eventually died. There was this part about how Sadie was blaming Sam, like they wanted you, that kind of thing. Okay, I get that that was a moment where she was in shock, she was in denial because the father of her child just died, right? But like, I don't think she ever apologized to Sam for saying that. That person who came down was called Ant, and a few years later, Ant was talking about how he always feels guilty, like what if he didn't go down the stairs, so on and so forth. And Sadie actually comforted him by saying like, you cannot do this video game mentality, like what if you went a different route, like could you have won, that kind of thing. And she was essentially saying that it's not his fault. But I don't think she ever said that to Sam, which is her most important friend. So it's just like, after his death, her grieving period, her postpartum depression, everything just kind of added up, and so she didn't even go back to like continue running the company, and Sam was literally there holding everything in place, ensuring that the company still ran. She just feels very like spoiled and rude. He went to clean up the office, like the mess from where Max's blood was still on the floor. He told Sadie that he was going there and she didn't offer to join or anything, and then when he called her, she was asking like, what does it look like? And then she was like, I want it gone. I really cannot, like her tone with Sam, I really cannot. Okay, but as the book progressed, like the last maybe 20%, I kind of like softened a bit for her because she finally found her calling and things like that. So she went back to teach the course that she took under Dove, the university course. So she taught that seminar, and it was like a loop in a sense because she went back to teach the course but better. She made sure that the student list was split 50-50 between males and females, or maybe that wasn't like something that she did, maybe her presence caused that. And then she told them what she expected of them. I don't care what game you make, I just want to see your work. The best thing to do is to impress me. Just have to work. This like a pass-fail class. You just have to pass a little bit more than you fail. It just feels like a safer space and a nicer space than what Dove created in the day. She also showed them like the game that she created in that class to show them, even though I'm a person that has produced games like Ichigo, like both sides, this was where I started from, and she showed them, and then she asked them to critique it, she can take it and all that. And I just found that like a really nice closure. The game though, okay, at the very end, Sam created this game called Pioneers. I think it was based off of the game that Max wanted to create for these 2 designers, if I'm not wrong. It was a world created for Sadie because it was based on both of their memories, and he was actually impersonating to be 2 different characters to talk to her in the game and form a life with her in the game, essentially. And I found that a little bit like, oh my god, the ultimate betrayal though, because in the game nobody knows who the other person actually is, and to find out that he hacked her IP address to find out where she was and approached her and formed a life with her is a bit like, oh my gosh. But okay, I guess technically she betrayed him in the past with that community service list also, and he created a world for her in the game, and like that's so romantic. He didn't explicitly say so, but it was implied. And I'm glad they didn't get together in the end because I feel like they are quite toxic together. And I'm glad that Sadie refuses to make games with him even though he keeps asking. But at the end, it's like a very nice loop because at the start, Sadie handed him the game called Solution and asked him to let her know what he thinks, and at the end, she handed him a game and then she was like, oh, you can email me or you can visit my office hours, that kind of thing. And it's like, last part, I'm just gonna read 4 quotes that I wrote down. She was still only 25, but until that point, she had always been the youngest in any room she had been in, and she had derived power from that. How quickly you go from being the youngest to the oldest person in a room, she thought. Those were 2 different quotes that referenced each other. It isn't a sadness, but a joy that we don't do the same things for the length of our lives. What is a game? It's tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. It's the possibility of infinite rebirth, infinite redemption. To make a game is to imagine the person playing it. Then the next one, to build a world for someone seems a romantic thing from where I stand. And so yeah, okay, I'm honestly glad that I reread this and Buddy read it because then it helps me understand the story better. We haven't discussed, like me and my friend, for the last few chapters, but I decided to update this first. The writing was really, really good. The plot, so I think 4 stars is a fair rating. And so yeah, I'm glad that this won the fiction award for the Goodreads Choice Awards. I'll update you when I start or finish the next book.
Several months later.
Hi, so I'm finally updating this video. So I recently went to Malaysia for a week. Not sure when that video is going to come out, but during that trip I managed to finish Sea of Tranquility, which won Best Science Fiction, Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. So I previously read Station 11 by her, and it was about a pandemic. I enjoyed that one. I gave it 3 stars, and I still kind of remember how things progressed. But for Sea of Tranquility, I actually DNF'd it once before. I DNF'd at 23%. Even though this book is really short, the audiobook is like 6 hours, and the book itself is not too long also. But I DNF'd because I wasn't really in the mood for it. And this time around, I decided to pick it up again because 1, it was for this video, and 2, because it was a rather short read and I needed a short read to get through a long ride while I was overseas. Okay, let's talk about trigger warnings first. Trigger warnings for death, grief, colonization, suicide, and gun violence. And what Sea of Tranquility is about is essentially, it's about time travel. I was checking to see whether it was going to be a spoiler, but it's written in the synopsis. So we are following Edwin, who is 18 years old, and he enters a forest and suddenly hears the notes of a violin echoing in an airship terminal. This was in 1912, and then 2 centuries later we follow Olive Llewellyn, who is a famous writer on a book tour, and she's traveling all around Earth, but her home is the second moon colony, and she wrote about a pandemic novel. Within the novel lies a strange passage. A man plays his violin for change in the echoing corridor of an airship terminal as the trees of a forest rise around him. When Gasperi, a detective in the night city, is hired to investigate an anomaly in the North American wilderness, he uncovers a series of lives upended. The exiled son of an earl driven to madness, a writer trapped far from home as a pandemic ravages Earth, and a childhood friend from the night city who, like Gasperi himself, has glimpsed the chance to do something extraordinary that will disrupt the timeline of the universe. So this one is about time travel, about how he can travel through time and interview these characters about that violin playing in an airship terminal, trying to uncover this mystery basically. So it's like sci-fi and time travel and mystery and a little bit of romance in it. I wasn't really particularly grabbed by this book. I was kind of intrigued by the time travel elements, but after when we were getting the explanation, it kind of went over my head a little bit, which is always my problem with sci-fi. I tend to feel rather dumb when reading sci-fi, except for Project Hail Mary, the best sci-fi novel I've read, because it was really fun and interesting to read about. So for Sea of Tranquility, I decided to give it 2 stars, unfortunately, despite winning the Goodreads Choice Awards for Best Science Fiction. But I recognize that sci-fi is not a genre that I always gravitate towards, so maybe this book is just not for me. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about Sea of Tranquility. Hopefully the next novel I read by Emily St. John Mandel is better. The last book I believe that I have to read for this vlog is actually Lessons in Chemistry. I have borrowed the audiobook and I'm going to try to read the ebook along as well, and I will update you again when I start reading that. I have higher hopes for this one because this was a recommendation that came from my friend as well. She recommended me to read Lessons in Chemistry, so hopefully it's something that I'll enjoy. It's also kind of a hyped book. Yeah, I'll see you when I eventually start reading Lessons in Chemistry. Hi, so I am finally back to update on the last book that I'll be reading for this video, which is Lessons in Chemistry. It was nominated for Best Debut Novel, and what this book is about essentially is basically we followed a chemist who is called Elizabeth Zott. This is based in like the early 1960s, and it's when misogyny and sexism is really still very much apparent in society, obviously so. You follow her journey as she tries to get her master's, a PhD in chemistry, but then she fails because of her being sexually assaulted by her thesis supervisor, if I remember correctly. Then she goes on to work in an all-male team at Hastings Research Institute, and everyone there is very much belittling her, reducing her work to like nothing. They just feel that she can't amount to anything because she's a woman. All except for one person, who is Calvin Evans, and he's the star of the place because he achieves like Nobel Prizes and famous, but because of his fame, people tend to be jealous of him and, you know, speak ill of him. They kind of have this encounter, and then Elizabeth gets offended because Calvin mistakes her for a secretary. Eventually they fall in love, move in together, until something unexpected happens such that she finds herself being a single mother and also a reluctant star of America's most beloved cooking show Supper at 6. It feels kind of slice of life, except that the person's life is Elizabeth thought, and her life is really very interesting as she tackles all the difficulties that are put in her way in terms of like society's expectations as a woman, men's treatment of her as a woman, how she faces the struggles of becoming a mother and what that entails in like having another mouth to feed, interacting with your kid and their struggles in school, for example, struggling to provide an income, things like that. And it's just really very interesting because firstly there's a lot of science in this, which I really love in books. I think I've mentioned it a few times when I read The Love Hypothesis. I really love the science of everything. The writing is really good as well. Like, oh my gosh, it's so good. I think I have like quite a few highlights on my ebook already, about 30 around there. The characters in this, oh my gosh. Okay, so Elizabeth is definitely a character that I really love because she's a woman in STEM in the 1960s trying to pursue her passions despite everything that's in her way. And then we have a dog called 630. It's like a found family basically, which is a trope that I really love as well. The amount of misogyny and the graphic sexual assault was like so triggering, but please beware of that as a trigger warning. If you can take it, please do read this book because I'm not even done with it. I'm like 60% in and I'm really enjoying it so much, and I'm so happy that finally I'm really enjoying a book, because not just for this video but the previous few books that I've been reading, excluding the ones for a secret video that I'm doing, which will go up by then. I think it'll go up before this one, which was basically my last hour's reading vlog. The books I've been reading were just not enjoyable, like either 2 to 3 stars. So it's like, it's finally when I'm reading Lessons in Chemistry where I really feel the 5-star feeling for a book, and it's been really long since I've felt that this year. The only other 5-star I've given to a book this year is Better Than the Movies, aside from the books that I have read before. I really hope it stays that way. 40% left of the book and I'm just really enjoying it, so I just wanted to pop in and say that before I finish it too quickly or something like that. The audiobook is really good as well. I'm reading the ebook and listening to the audiobook, but I do have to say that my copy of the audiobook that I borrowed from Libby doesn't have chapter markings, so it's kind of difficult. If I read the ebook by itself, then I have to find my place in the audiobook just scrolling like that. But the voices are really good. Sometimes it's really difficult to get a good audiobook narrator, so like yeah, that's really good. The science in this book just makes me really happy. For example, how she takes so many different steps to make coffee. She uses like a Bunsen burner and things like that, and then she says that cooking is a science, which it is, but she has a lot of like scientific terms for it because she's like a chemist, right? She calls vinegar by its scientific term, things like that. And 630, the dog, is just so cute, and we even get 630's perspective at times. I love it so much. 630's voice is really so adorable, and how he tries to like protect Elizabeth and protects her daughter, things like that. And I'm really sad that I think I have to talk about spoilers for a bit. What I've mentioned previously were kind of in the synopsis, but this is going to be quite a spoiler, I would say. So if you don't want to know anything super spoilery related, just skip ahead. I'm very sad that Calvin died. Like, he really felt like the only soul that connected with Elizabeth as a human being. Like, before they met, they were fine, but they became better after they got together. It really felt like the other person lifted their spirits, helped them become a better person, a more holistic person in a sense. And then he died, and you can see how Elizabeth was very much affected by his death. Their chemistry was really great. But it's just sad because before, at least she had him to like shield her from certain things that he didn't want her to see, exactly how much she was being discriminated at work. For example, because he's a guy and he has so much accomplishments, he has the power to be like, you better not take away her research project from her, or I will leave the institute, things like that. He just helped her without wanting to let her know because her pride is like too much and things like that, but he just wanted to help her because he loves her. So it's just really nice to see. And he's gone, but at least I guess she's at a better, not at a better place now, but she's at a better place than when he first died. I'm really excited to finish this book, and I really hope it's a 5-star so that it can be my second 5-star read of the year. It's already April. So yeah, I'll update when I finish, or if there is anything else that I want to update before I finish reading the book.
Several days later.
Hi, so I'm finally here to close out the video with my final rating and review for Lessons in Chemistry. Let's start with trigger warnings first. And with lessons in chemistry, I have officially read 600 books if Goodreads can be trusted. That's quite amazing. Trigger warnings for misogyny, sexism, sexual assault, rape, mentioned suicide, death, domestic violence, attempted bomb attack, animal abuse, and implied child sexual abuse. I really flew through this book. I think I read it in 3 days, and it was the first time in a long time where I really felt like, oh my gosh, I got the 5-star feelings and I really want to continue reading. I don't want to put it down. Anytime I'm doing something, I want to pick it up, and it really feels like it's going to be a 5-star. I was really hoping that it wouldn't fade, like the feeling wouldn't fade after we got towards the end of the book. I was really hoping it would be. In the end, I decided to give it 5 stars because I really enjoyed it, and it felt very wholesome and very heartwarming, which is again something that I really love to read about in books. Coupled with the fact that this also had a lot of scientific facts, because Elizabeth Zott is a freaking scientist, right? So she has all the scientific knowledge that she imparts through her cooking show Supper at 6, and it's just so I love it. It's like you combined the love hypothesis with a more sciencey element. The characters is really like a found family, which I also love. You have the dog 630, you have her daughter who adores her, you have her neighbor who they become really good friends. But I can't tell how I feel about whether it's too convenient or it was a well thought out plot, because a lot of things ended up being linked together in the book. I can't really tell where I stand on that, but overall I still really did much enjoy the book. I am going to leave it at 5 stars, which is great because I haven't had a lot of 5 stars so far this year. I just really want to talk about spoilers very quickly before I close out this whole video, so skip ahead if you don't want to know about any spoilers. Please read it for yourself, it's really good. Just now, the thing about it being interlinked, right? I found it very strange. It's like everyone is connected. So Wakely is Calvin's pen pal. He got reconnected with Matt, who is Elizabeth's daughter. Eventually they form this kind of like friendship while they're trying to find out what happened to Elizabeth's father, who is Calvin, at the boys' home. Wakely's typist turned out to be Mrs. Frask, who was a typist at Hastings Research Institute, and then Zott's sponsor at Hastings Research Institute before she left and everything. There was this sponsor that was very interested in her work, which was abiogenesis, and that sponsor turned out to be Calvin's mother, who formed the Parker Foundation, who also funded Calvin's orphanage indirectly. So like, oh my god, everything is connected. I really can't tell whether it was meant to be too convenient or it was like a very well thought out plot. So I don't know what to think about that, but I still really enjoyed it. That's the end of the spoilers. For this reading experiment, I only managed to read 3 books because the rest of the books I have already read. I would say it's quite a successful video because we have 4 stars for tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. We have 5 stars for lessons in chemistry, but we also have 2 stars for Sea of Tranquility. So I mean 2 out of 3 were good reads. So I would say it's a success. I'm really glad that I read it for a video because then I can remember my thoughts for lessons in chemistry in particular, because I really feel like it's gonna be one of my favorites of 2023. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. If you're still watching, you can comment a chemistry related emoji because lessons in chemistry. If you liked the video, please give this video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel for more of such content. Remember to stay hydrated. I hope you're having a great week or a great day whenever or wherever you're watching. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video.